Hi there. Welcome to another edition of the Israel-Palestine Report. Today we're going to be talking about the news that everyone's talking about in Israel. No, not the Musk-Trump feud, but that Israel has been arming a group of people, for lack of a better word, in Rafa. And what exactly does that all mean? So let's look at the facts here and what we know so far. Israel is arming a group led by an individual called Abu Shabab, Yasser Abu Shabab. Yasser Abu Shabab is a very controversial uh, person. He runs a militia in the Rafah area, that's where he's from, that is anti-Hamas, um, and seems to have ties to the Palestinian Authority, though it's not under their umbrella. And more controversially, it seems to have ties to Salafists and to ISIS. Another controversial thing about this particular group is that they have, without a doubt, been involved in stealing aid in the past and selling it at high prices to Palestinian civilians in Gaza. So we're talking about a very unsavory group. Now, what exactly is happening there? At first, it was reported that there were Israeli weapons involved, but that doesn't seem to be true. What we're talking about is AK-47s and various other personal arms that were confiscated or taken from Hamas and have now been given to this militia. The militia has at least 100 men, although some reports are saying that there are 300 of them. Now, as you may know, in Palestinian politics, there's nothing worse than being considered a collaborator with Israel. So when this started leaking, people were concerned about what would happen to this group, whether they'd be able to survive, despite rumors that they were working for Israel. Um, Apparently, this was brought up in front of the cabinet. There was no vote. There was no orderly process by which this was decided. And then when the rumors started spreading, Netanyahu came out and gave a video saying that they're arming groups in Gaza and saying, what's wrong with that? And of course, the problem with that is that it places these individuals in the crosshairs. If there was any doubt that they're collaborators with Israel, now it's been confirmed, and that undermines their position. And that really makes me wonder why Netanyahu would do that, why this would be leaked. This is the sort of thing that should be done by the Shin Bet with absolute confidentiality. It should be discussed only at the highest echelons and never confirmed by anyone. The fact that even the rumors got out is bad enough without Netanyahu confirming it. Now, it's important to note that this group has been active for at least a year, but apparently being armed by Israel directly and in the open is a relatively new thing. And I talked to a friend who actually knows quite a bit about this in the defense ministry. And he told me that the best way to understand Yasser Abu Shabab is as a criminal. He's a Bedouin. He has strong ties to smugglers in Sinai who bring in drugs, who are involved in human trafficking, and who have brought in a lot of the arms that ended up in Hamas's hands. And that's mainly what he does. He used to be friendly with Hamas. He's friendly with everyone else now. One of the reasons he's cooperating with Israel is because Hamas had a major falling out with him and see him as an enemy and have been trying to kill him. So he has little to lose. But some of the men fighting with him, I'm surprised, are willing to stand, and I wonder if they'll stand with him now that it's been exposed that he's working with Israel. This friend told me something else interesting. There's been a lot of rumors that Abu Shabab is in bed with ISIS and the Salafists. That's not accurate. He has good relations with them because, like I said, he has good relations with most groups, Israel included, everyone. However, apparently, out of the 100 or 300 people that he has, somewhere in between those two numbers, A few have strong ties to ISIS and Salafist groups, not so much because Abu Shabab wants it that way, but because, he doesn't have some kind of organized way of vetting people, and it's not clear that he cares. If someone's willing to fight for him, he's willing to fight with them. So that seems to be the extent of the ISIS ties. They exist, but they're not coming from Abu Shabab himself. As a sign of how unpopular this kind of move is in Gaza, Abu Shabab's own clan, his own family, has already publicly disowned him. And I think that's a sign of how things are going to go. I don't think he's going to have a very long life, but we'll see. They're a very interesting group. So they released propaganda on Facebook, which is definitely worth watching, talking about themselves as counterterrorism, talking about how they're going to provide safe spaces for Palestinians, where they'll be safe from Hamas, where they'll be fed, showing tents. There's definitely ambition there to start creating some alternative to Hamas in that area. But I think the ties to Israel undermine any chance of that happening. I think the chances of that happening were pretty low to begin with. And like I said, Abu Shabab has been accused of stealing aid, not only by Hamas, who is not necessarily the best source, but also by the UN. The UN stated that the theft of aid has been done by criminal gangs like Abu Shabab, and they've also accused Israel of being complicit and said, quote, this is happening under the watch of Israeli forces. So they've attacked convoys, reportedly, they've killed drivers, and they've taken the food. So Hamas's response to this has been very predictable. They've called them collaborators with Israel and said that they must die. This has all caused massive controversy in Israel, some of which is justified and well-meaning, and some of which, of course, is very political. Um, Former Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman said that they've bypassed the cabinet, they're aiding a criminal group. Um, Other politicians have accused Israel of helping ISIS, and so on and so forth. I think the ISIS thing is overblown. Although, like I said, there is a shred of truth to that. There's two major problems here. There's no serious decision-making process here. This wasn't brought to the cabinet as much as the cabinet learned about it and discussed it. Many of them with disgust because they don't want these weapons to be used against Israelis and against the IDF, which is certainly a possibility because these guys are A, not trustworthy, B, could end up dead and Hamas take the weapons. And the other thing is, why is Israel admitting that they're working with them? Unless it's planning to stay there and protect them for good. Um, if it is going to withdraw at any point, these people are all going to die. So I have some serious concerns about putting them in danger, and I have some serious concerns about the stability of the whole thing. What this reminds me most of is a specific episode in Israeli history, the Southern Lebanese Army, Tzadal, that Israel helped create in southern Lebanon. They helped prop up the Israeli occupation there. But as soon as Israel left, they had to escape to Israel or face execution from Hezbollah. This is similar. These things don't work. Israel also tried something called the village groups in village leagues, I should say, in the 1980s in the West Bank, and they also faced a similar failure. So we're going to be following this closely here, but this seems like another terrible strategic mistake. And part of Israel's inability, which mostly stems from unwillingness to create a day after plan for Gaza. If you like what I do here, consider supporting me on Patreon, subscribing to my Substack, and listening to my History of the Land of Israel podcast. I'll be back here again very soon.